James decided to start me early, so hey. Jeff, I think Down Under asked a question we all want to know. Is it pushing plastic yet? All right, so, so far in chat I've seen, let's see, I've seen Mad Dog, I've seen Howie, I've seen RJ, I've seen Down Under, Mike, Icon, Pat. Let's see here, Mad Dog. No, you haven't been back to it for a few days. You've been you're still oh. Yeah, you've been tiling for a bit. Mike, tonight it's a black. I'll be able to show you that when we get to the overhead cam. Oh, you still have a week to go on tiling. Gee. At least you have a New Year's project. I sat here and spent my morning building the garden. As my partner sat here and decided they want to grow fruits and veggies. So, at this point, all we really have is veggies in there. We've got some Brussels sprouts, some onions, actually 3 different types of onions, and some beets. And like 4 different types of beets because my partner loves beets. Oh, Mad Dog, you're happy for the stream. Glad I can give you some time off. Yeah, Howie, there was quite a marathon going through with Mad Dog, getting the carto working on it. And oh no, it's Mike. See, it's raining pretty hard there. Is it ever not raining there? Let's see here. Howie, you were out of state all weekend. Ah. St. Louis is nice. I went there once as a kid. Got to sit here and go through the caves that are around the area. Got to go up in the arch. I was a big baseball fan at the time, so it was kind of cool going up in the arch and seeing the baseball field. Sat here, ended up while we were in Missouri, went to Hannibal, where that's the hometown of Samuel Clemens, aka Mark Twain. So if you've never been, it's a nice little town to go to, right there on the Mississippi. And you can go tour Mark Twain's house. So, okay, James has closed our poll, so apparently the majority, with 8 votes, the majority is milk chocolate. Then we get dark, then we get white. And apparently everyone here likes chocolate, so there is no ew chocolate. I put that in there because James sits here, and unless it's white chocolate, to him it doesn't exist. This week we have voltage. Mike, I think James thinks them's as fighting words. That and RJ, I think. Howie, for $1 you'll dance on a pole, for $20 you won't. Good business model. Ooh, Cadbury. Down Under, I sit here and happen to have some Ritter Sport chocolate, and it's got a stroopwafel inside, so it is tasty. Well, RJ, you said this was a fighting poll. I think you were right. So, get back into the build. Where we left off last week, we had gotten the clicky probe assembled. Found out that if you get the LDO kit, they're There are two M3 by like 20 or 25s that it seems like those should be the ones that go in to the carriage. Well, they're not. Those are actually used to attach the dock to the arm that goes to the wall. The Clicky Probe GitHub says to use an M3 by 8. I will tell you, those are too small, but they send you a big bag of M3 by 20s or M3 by 10s, and that extra 2 millimeters fits here and makes it so that the Clicky Probe goes right into that back little brace. Let's see here. Down under, you grew up only 20 miles from Bourneville in the UK, where Cadbury is based. You know, Down Under, when I was growing up, I used to think Cadbury was and we're talking when I was like 3 or 4, I used to think Cadbury was just the name of the little eggs that came around for Easter that had the little filling, not even realizing that it was a whole brand. And when I was about 5 or 6, I learned that it was a brand, and I'm like, why don't we have more of this in the US? But no, I love Cadbury chocolate. My wife thinks I'm crazy for liking Cadbury chocolate, but I love it. Oh no, Repo, if you haven't had any of Cadbury's other products, you are missing out. One of my favorite things is they have these little chocolate covered honeycomb little candy bars, and ooh, honeycomb is dangerous if you're eating that. But anyways, back to the build. So since we got the Clicky Probe in, our next step in the manual is to build a stealth burner. So we're going to be doing a few more heat sets and everything here in the beginning. I know it's not the most exciting thing, but hey, it's something that needs to be done, and it gives me time to talk to you guys while we're doing it. So let me grab my power cable here for the soldering iron. But oh, before we go on, Down Under, this is the thing. Oh no, that's a good view, James. This is the thing that I said that Thunder Keys had sent me, and you know, I couldn't really show until he didn't want me to show until the files have been released. This is what we were talking about last week, and he was saying you would like some new little fidget toy. You know, you've got your standard spinning wheels, but it's also got a nice little lever here with a satisfying click and a switch that just rocks back and forth, but it's all the springs are in here are 3D printed, and it's just 4 socket heads to put it together. Yep, so there we go. So now that you guys can get it, it's actually really fun. This side is actually James's favorite. This one's loud, and I love the spinny part. So if you want, you guys can sit here and get this. Thunder Keys, do you have a link for it and I can post it in chat? Let me see here. It's on printables, right, Thunder Keys? Or no, I think you said you released it to the Voron. Yeah. Let me see here. I'm just looking for that Voron extras. Let me change my workspace here. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Thunder Keys. Let's copy that link and get it posted in chat for y'all. And you know what? We'll pin that for now. That way, if you guys want to get it. You don't have to go searching through, and we can call back to it later. Okay, so let me get the keyboard out of the way here. And we'll move the mouse to the side. And hopefully today, I should have a better setup to actually show you guys what I'm doing on this overhead than normal. Because I've moved our printer out of the way. Howie, I can definitely see it. We don't have White Castle down here. I think they just built one in Florida, believe it or not. I want to say they built one in like either Miami or Jacksonville, but we had their competitor Crystal Burger. And projects, I'd love to make penguins. I don't think penguins would survive here in Florida. So RJ, they opened the White Castle in Miami. Yeah, so we've always had Crystal Burger down here. And I remember growing up, you'd sit here and get like a whole bag of them for like 20 bucks. And we just called them gut bomb burgers. So you'd sit here and eat them, and you'd enjoy them while you're eating them, but oh, you'd hate yourself afterwards. Costa Rica has a penguin breed. I am not familiar with that penguin breed. Do you know what breed that is, Howie? All right. So our first part is going to be on our clockwork. We've got the back and the front pieces. Mad Dog, tune in next week. There might be something special for next week. But on these, the way you can tell the difference between the two pieces is obviously thickness. We want the thicker one for these first heat sets. Now I want chicken. We just went out to that German restaurant and had all that food, and I want chicken all of a sudden. I don't know why. I've had enough pizza lately. The Galapagos penguins. Okay. Here. Hey, 3D&T, how's it going? Yeah, I don't know if this is Dave or Terry, but whichever one. I think my Voron might take longer than yours. So, anybody that sits here, and if anyone ever gives you a hard time on the Voron ever again, you can be like, look at Penguin Makers. He took even longer. Okay, so I'm gonna get this pine sol all heated up. I will say, if haven't gotten one of these, I've really been enjoying these things. They sit here and heat up almost immediately. So other thing that's nice to have is some sort of flat metal piece to sit here and either press down on or to press the part into, and makes it so that some of the squish doesn't come out and everything. In this case, our little piece right here where the heat set's going to go is really in there. So having a nice thin piece that you can get in there can really help. Let's see here, Mad. Let you check the box, Dave. Okay, so we're just gonna go and get this in here. Just kind of applying a light pressure but constant, and let gravity do the work. Let's see here. You need to make a helper visit to Project Thunder? Let's see here. What did I miss about a movie? Hello, phone. Why did you not go on silent? Here, you have a serial plaque for your 2.4. Phil, you're making me hungry again. First I talked about hens and then I wanted chicken. Now you're talking about cereal. I'm starting to sound like 3D Musketeers and making this a food podcast. Oh, the Avatar movie? So the Avatar movie, I went and saw that Christmas Day. And the movie was good. It's a 3-hour movie, though, that could have been 2 hours. The first 2 hours of the movie, it's a lot of backstory and world building. And it really could have been condensed down from 2 hours to one. But other than that, like, the visual effects are what you would expect from a Avatar movie. The story is still good. It follows their standard. RJ, we don't quite have a camera that we can point down yet. Might work on that soon, but I've got to get another camera to do that with. So with this, we're going to push this in. Now this one gets a bit tricky because it sits here. And did my soldering iron go to sleep? Yes, it did. But now it's back up to temp. No, it's actually on a tripod that we've lowered as much as the tripod will go based on where it's at. So there's not really much more that he can lower it. James, are you able to tilt it down just a little bit? He's gonna see what he can do real quick. If the camera shakes, I'm sorry. Okay, James says blame RJ if it shakes and everything. That a bit better for you guys? Okay, so we've got our 3 heat sets in. So with this one, there's one in the corner, one in this corner, and then there's one tucked in right here to the side. So after we get those done, our next heat sets are on the back piece. Now, big thing about the back piece, for those of you that haven't built a Voron, or even though those of you that have know this, but those of you that haven't, you know, I'd like being educational on this. The back piece you actually set below flush. So you go a bit further in than you normally would. There. Let's see your projects. You know, you're gonna stream starts tomorrow morning. On project, are you starting the continue or doing more with the Trident or not? Trident. The Delta Flyer? Okay, so with this one, it's not that hole. It is. So there's 3 holes along the bottom. Middle hole is the one that you want. Yeah, it's the middle bottom and then the top one. And it helps if see here. Ah. Okay. Yeah, on the back side when you do those, 2 of those are going to be underflush, but the ones on the inside of it are still going to be flush. Let's see here. Let's see here. Does anyone know, RJ, does anyone know anything about website design? I need assistance. Yeah, so yeah, as Thunder Keys pointed out, the ones that are on the backside, not the inside, are the ones that go under flush. Repo, I would say if you're doing some basic website designing, Squarespace makes it easy. I'm not sponsored, but I've used them before. I'm about to burn James with the soldering iron because he just said vibe code it with AI. Who thinks James needs to be burned with a soldering iron since he said vibe code it with AI?
I mean, what else is the AI good for?
Uh-oh, did we just have a random appearance of James? All right, so just letting this go in here. Light pressure, just letting it go in. This one's nice and flush, so we're going to grab our metal piece. Oh, hey LTX, how you doing? I mean, James just said something, so, and obviously my hand, I couldn't touch an AI thing or anything, so I'm pretty sure that shows that he's not AI.
Except I am, though.
Oh, he wants to be a robot. When I grow up, I'm going to be a robot. Okay. We have 2 on the back side, or on the inside. Now, if you do the metal method, if you have a very thin piece of metal, watch out, because heat sets are hot. Let's see here, down under, watching your 4-year-old lecture her mom on how to measure the center of gravity on polystyrene gliders is hilarious. Down under, that sounds precious. Okay, so we have those. Now this is going to be the tricky one. So you have your little back piece, this being the back. There's a heat set that goes in this little piece right here. But of course, there's no real, there's a partial flat surface, but you're not going to be going in completely flat. So you need to make sure that as you're putting that pressure on, you're keeping it parallel to the surface you're putting it in on. Okay. Almost there.
because that would be too easy, RJ.
Man has a voice.
And if there's one thing you're going to learn about this man is that he does nothing the easy way.
Oh, you mean the plug that's
Directly behind you.
directly behind me?
Right.
Yeah. I've got a plug back there, but yeah. James is right. That'd be there. And yes, I'm soldering left-handed, Mike, because I'm left-handed. James thinks it's weird that I'm left-handed. Okay, so now
I don't think it's weird that you're left-handed. I think that you are weird and you happen to be left-handed.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, it's kind of nice that the Pine Sol actually does have a left-handed mode, but I do think I need to adjust my sensitivity because I just picked this thing up and it's not coming out of its sleep mode and heating up. So I'm just going to need to adjust the sensitivity on it.
That's the funny thing, Jeff, is you think that he has any power over me, or the mic that I have. I'm the one who has the power here.
Yeah. He controls all the cameras and the streams and whether or not we're live. But he also makes it so that dead air can be filled with talking. Yeah, down under, James is kind of the boss man. I'm just the on-screen personality. I'm the pretty face that won't break the camera.
Debatable.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see it, but I put all 3 heat sets in. And this top one and the bottom one are not gonna sit flush. Apparently woke up enough to put some heat on my amplifier foot. Yay, plastic fumes. RJ, that would be hilarious if, it wouldn't come on by picking up with my left, but it would pick up by coming on with my right. That would be absolutely hilarious. So I'm going to do the one that's flush first. And then while you're doing this one, I'm just looking at it. Be very careful because it is fairly close to a wall. So you want to be very careful as you're pushing that in not to put too much torque on it so you don't deform that wall as much. Oh, RJ, us calling each other ugly, that's an everyday occurrence. That's just camaraderie there. Okay, now this one is the first one where we're going to go below flush. Now, the other side, you actually have a nice little window inside here. Get you guys. Inside here, there's a nice little window where you can actually see the heat set once it's in. So you can kind of see, hey, are you at the right height? The top one doesn't have that, so... Oh, Mike, you're tired of seeing people holding soldering irons with the right hand? All right, so I'm just going in And that little window on the side gives you a nice little view as to how far in that heat set should be. And it goes a pretty good ways in. Probably a millimeter in. Or maybe half a millimeter, but that can give you kind of a nice point to look for the top one when you're doing that, to make sure that you have them both kind of in there properly. Okay. There. I think you could do it, Mad Dog. Heck, I don't know if your Seabor kit came with it, but if you have that little heat set practice thing, try it sometime with the left hand. You never know. Let's see, you're down under. You've come to the conclusion that NeoPixels solder best with a little solder paste and flux than using hot air. Well, down under, I found something very interesting about the LDO kits that I can show you right now, because we're going to be using them later. The LDO kits come with a wiring harness where all the NeoPixels are pre-soldered and the wire links are already done for you. So that's a nice thing. Get a drink. Okay, so they do tend to be a bit long. We will check that once we get to that point then. See, this is why I love having you guys here. Okay, so since we are doing a tool head on this one, it does call for 2 extra heat sinks on both of these pieces on the inside. So where we put that one down here on the bottom, there's another hole that a heat set can go up there. So let's grab 2 more heat sets. Oh no, it's Mike. You demand super tidy wiring. Mike, I would love super tidy wiring, and I'm going to try my best to do super tidy wiring. But at the same time, if someone demands super tidy wiring, I want to see a picture of your wiring. Speaking of which, you guys can actually post that. We do have a Discord up and going now. It's at its opening stages, but there is a link to it in the video description if you guys would like to join. All right, this is another one of those ones where you want to be super careful as you're doing it, because there is not much wall. As you're putting this in, so if you shift around too much, there is a possibility of deforming that wall. I thought everything was upside down in Australia, down under, Maker. Ooh, this is going to be a fun one to get to. Oh, Mad Dog has a question for you, James. Now I will say, this is where, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but CNC Kitchen's new right angle heat set insert might be really nice, because that was really difficult to get in there, and I think I melted a bit of my part. Yep, we melted a bit, but we can clean that up. Hey Ladybug, how you doing? Let's see here. Mad Dog, that's why they grow longer. Gravity. I thought gravity was higher around the equator. Mike, I'll check that out later on the wiring. Cover will cover it. Okay, so yeah, the other side. Oh, the little cover that goes over. Yep. Ah. How you doing? Let's see here. Oh, RJ, I'm not allowed to use the CNC right angle because it's not a left angle. Har har, RJ. Oh, that was clever, RJ. Okay, so now we have our cable chain. We get to do some more heat sets. Okay, so with these ones, the holes are a bit small, but we're gonna do our best to get this in here. I have been told that we could possibly go in from the other side, but I'm stubborn and want to do it from the proper side. Yeah. If you guys haven't subscribed to Down Under or 3D&T or Projects in Dad's Garage, you know, go subscribe. They do make some great content. 3D&T, they just did their nice little year recap last night. That was fun to watch. Down Under sits here and he always gives some good advice, and you know, he beta tests things and things of that nature, so he really knows what he's talking about. Projects always is good for a great project. He has so many Nerf blasters, and he's working on a Delta Flyer. Okay, so now we're gonna get the second one in. Once we get it started, we're good. Normally I would have this on a flat surface, but there is no flat side to this one. Just kind of go until it goes. But yeah, no, I want to thank, you know, Down Under Maker for mentioning the little trick. You know, I learned this from Steve Builds as well, but this is a really nice trick. Well, at least, like I said earlier, with how long this is taking me, at least Dave has someone to point to and be like, look, it's not that easy. Okay, so on this one, we have two holes on this piece. See if I can get it for you. We want to go to the one closer to my thumb. So you'll have a flat side. You want to go on the one that is opposite the flat side of this piece. RJ, you're always... See, RJ, that's why you just have to have the notifications turned on. That way you know when he sits here and goes live. Okay, so we have those heat sets in. Those are nice and flush. Projects, that project creep is something I'm aware of. I haven't even finished building this thing yet, and I'm already planning on what I'm going to do next to it. Okay. Ooh, this is going to be a fun one to get a heat set insert into. There is really no good flat spot on that. So if you, hey James, can you pull the computer up real big real quick? So this is one to keep an eye out for. This little piece right here, they specifically call out to make sure that this is flush with the surface or just slightly below. You don't want to go too far in on this one. So be aware if you're doing that. Yeah, I sat here and I talked to some people, to Havoc and Tom and Pat and Icon on a pretty regular basis, now RJ, and the project creep is real. Okay, so we're getting this in here, trying to get it nice and flush. And you know, I still do have that potential for a giveaway myself. Right now I'm trying to see if I can do it international. Find out a way, whether it be through gift cards or something like that, for a roll of filament. But we do need to get to 100 subs before the first. So this is the last stream before that. So if we hit 100 subs before the first, I will do a giveaway next stream, whether that be for a gift card or something that I could send to those of you that are overseas, or, you know, drop shipping a roll of filament to those of you here that are in the continental US or something of that nature. But we can hit that 100 subs. You know, I kind of set an arbitrary goal for myself and did that a few streams ago. You know, I figure I think we were sitting at like 60 subs in. I'm like, hey, 40 subs in like 3 weeks, we could do that. So if you got any friends or anything, you know, go ahead and do that, and I'll sit here and see about setting up a giveaway. Hey Armor, how you doing? But even if we don't hit that giveaway, which I'd really love, yeah, you can, you know, as Mike says, we're only 30 away. There is still something special that we're gonna do next stream. And it's probably going to be me torturing myself in some manner. So we have both Dave and David in the house. Oh. All right, so a little arm here. We've got one to go on here. I know this is the most riveting content, watching someone put heat sets in, but it is part of the build, and I sat here and wanted to show the entire build process. That way, if I do make a mistake, you guys get to learn from it and make fun of me. We all like doing that. It's always fun to sit here and get mistakes and, you know, give people a friendly hard time about it. Havoc, it's finally printing. Oh, I know you've been cursing at that Voron for a while now. Might start the shorts in the next year then. Projects. Those shorts do seem to. Oh man, even if I don't make a mistake, you'll make fun of me. Fair. Fair enough. Okay, so we finally get out of heat sets and we get to sit here and put our first two pieces together, which is the little arm and this little piece that had no heat sets in it. Now, there are two little, let me give you guys a show. There are two little key pieces on here that will actually mate up with the key pieces in here. So we're just going to make sure before I do anything that those pieces will fit together. We are a little tight, but tight can sometimes be good. But I need to, so if you look here, as I'm pushing down, I need to get a file in right up there because that is not quite mating up. So we're going to take our little file, and I do apologize. I'm going to go quiet for a bit because I learned last stream talking while filing is not good for headphone users. Brain thinks something, mouth says something else. Oh.
Considering that I'm one of those headphone users, I appreciate him not talking. So just saying.
David, what the heck? Oh.
Yeah, we're just gonna ignore what just happened in chat. At least I'll ignore it. You guys can talk amongst yourselves.
Oh. Yeah, David, that was definitely a look. I was not expecting to read that in chat. All right, so it doesn't take much, but because that was so tight as well, I'm going to check our other tolerances. And it looks like this front little corner here was also kind of clipping, so we're going to file that down. Get ourselves a little bit more clearance there to make it a bit easier to slide in. I really have to watch my phrasing.
I think I need to make it a "that's what she said" counter.
Okay, we're going to give a little bit of a touch up on this side as well. Okay. We gave, let's see here. Hot pants. I'm afraid to ask what's going on in chat right now. All right, there we go. That came together. Just that little bit of extra made it so we could snap that nice and close. So you can see, even if you sit here and get your printed parts, if they're not perfect, you can, you know, a little bit of filing, a little bit of sandpaper can sit here and just correct it, because it's just plastic. Now, of course, it's also a lot easier because ASA and ABS. If this was PLA, I've seen people try to sand and file PLA, and it just becomes a goopy nightmare because the friction from the sanding will actually start to melt the plastic because of the heat from the friction. Yeah, chat's going kind of crazy, but hey, if people are engaging, YouTube likes that. Thunder keys, I'm planning on getting a pair. One of my Christmas presents was an Amazon gift card, so I have money to buy one now. Armor, that sounds like the military almost. Okay, so this one, just an M3x16 socket head that goes between them. And this is going to hold these together. Now the next big question is, does this line up with my heat set? Or is this just a bad screw? Nice, easy way. There's a very easy way to tell if you have a bad screw. Try from the other side. Nope, that seems to be going in perfectly fine from the other side. Oh, that's the reason for PTSD, Armor. That could cause some pretty big PTSD. Down Under, I honestly might even pay to see that reaction. Okay. So why are you not going in properly? It looks like it's lined up. Let's see if we can get these back apart. Ooh. So Down Under, you're saying you didn't want an eyeful? So Thunder Keys, the reason is as I'm going to put this in, I know the heat set and the screw work together, but as soon as I get this through all the way to the heat set, it is almost as if it's trying to cross thread. So I can't tell if it's lined up properly or what. Which I know those keys should line it up properly. But as soon as I get to about right here, and I'll show you Thunder Keys. Right there, that's where it stops wanting to go any further. I don't know if you guys can see down. I'm gonna focus. I don't know if you guys can see down in there. It looks like it's right on there. Oh yeah, cross-threading, nature's Loctite. Yeah, so I'm going to try this from the other side real quick. And just double check that those heat set threads are okay. I put it in there once, but let's double check again. Okay, I think Thunder Keys was right, and that heat set was just off, because when I put it in from the other way, there was a bit of resistance, but I kind of twisted a bit. Now let's pull this thread out, see if we see any damages to the threads. No, so maybe a bit of plastic or something got in to the heat set and just forcing it through the other way. Could have cleared it up. Let's run this back down through and see what happens. That made it a bit easier. Yep, that's good now. There we go. That time it started. Yep, so that got in. We got it flush. We're not sticking up on the other side, so there we go. So thank you for the advice, Thunder Keys. You know, not being a critical part, so you just, as long as you can make sure it's there. Bad dog, don't tempt me. I can send James to the next room and get an impact driver. Okay. So next we have to do our Bondtech gears. So yeah, one of my first things that I do want to do is I do want to go over to a different tool head because I can. So it's going to be a future project. Oh God. Yeah, Hobo Banana, I am planning on changing out some tool heads. I'm debating right now, after I get this all done, eventually whether to go Dragon Burner or A4T. Oh yeah, Dave, I have so many future projects already planned out. I've already got the next future project sitting at home waiting, because give you guys a little preview. I'm going to be doing quite a few more builds, so one of the best things that, we're doing all these heat sets. I'm going to sit here and build a Frax arm. Okay. So we need to grease up our bearings for the Bondtech gear. So this is honestly my first time doing this style of bearing. From what I've seen and what I've read, let's see here. Is it? Oh, Dave's telling me don't bother. Okay. I've seen, oh God, it's been so long since I've seen Fifth Element. Bye, Jeff. Have fun tiling. One of the things I never really got a hand on was tiling. Drywall, no problem. Electrical, fine. Tiling, nope. Okay, so from what I've seen, and correct, multibus. Oh, now I need to go into Down Under Makers chat and post the meme about Gandalf and Lula. Or Lilu. So yeah, so from what I've seen, the best way to do these is you put a little bit of grease in the end of this. And then you take your rod and push it through, but while keeping your finger on the end. And that'll kind of force the grease through, but of course I didn't get the finger on the end of that in time. We're going to put a little bit more in there. Oof. I don't know how much the rod's going to be needed because that really came out. Where did... Oh. Must have shop towels. Gonna just get off some of this excess. But yeah, apparently you don't even need the rod to do this. You can just put your finger on the end, and when it has nowhere else to go, it'll just start shooting out through the bearings. And then of course you can just put it on there, it'll push out the excess, and then just clean up your excess. Okay. I'm just gonna put this on our shop towel for now. Let's see here. Oh, David, you're printing out the Voron fidget. Well, I'll only take partial credit for you going and doing that now. Thunder Keys takes the rest. He's the one that put it out there. I didn't get to, so Down Under, I didn't get to see Steve's stream today, so I'm gonna have to go back and see what fun he had with Anthead. I will ask it, was it as fun or more fun than what we had with Mad Dog the other day? Okay, so once we get those in there, these should just slide in. And then this piece, we're going to take the socket head screw, should be facing you, and the gears go the other way from it. Just trying to get this kind of centered on there so I can see both. And it looks like we're just going to clip it in there. But I think I'm going to need to file out. Yeah, that's really tight, and I'm worried about pushing that in there. That opening looks a bit smaller than the actual rod there. Where did... No, I had... All right, Thunder Keys. You say just snap it in. I know it's supposed to be a bit smaller, but let me see if I can get that to focus. Yep. I don't know if you can see that. It looks quite a bit smaller. Let's try giving this a good snap. Got one side in. Got the other in. Now, of course, as I did that, my OCD will not let that be that unflush. Let's see if we can just knock this in a little bit, because I know it's a friction fit. There we go. That's nice and flush. Mike, I like that. YOLO permission. And Thunder Keys, it's great having you here. All right. I can definitely say this is my first time with one of these Bondtech gears, and they're a lot heavier than they look. That's rolling nice and smooth. I will say, if anybody's ever doing this Valvoline cerulean, you know, while it hits some nice high temperatures, I would go with a thinner grease, because you can somewhat feel the resistance as things are spinning. So, just a word of advice, you know. But let's take the messy stuff and throw that in the corner where I can step on it later. And then, so yeah, it does say to mind the orientation where your little idler tooth is, where the filament path is. So that looks like it's in a good spot. Now, yeah, Thunder, I know you're a bit more in line with what Voron's doing. I know they were calling out for like an EP1 or an EP 1.5. This is an EP2 equivalent. So I don't know if they've updated and that's like, they're like, hey, that's perfectly fine now, but you can definitely feel some resistance on it. So with this, I am not quite sure, but it comes with two different springs. They look to be the same thickness. So I'm assuming that they're almost the same tension. Oh, down under maker, that sounds painful. Metal shard in your foot. Hey, Kipper. Kipper Cat's art. Oh, your first Voron got stolen, took a loss on the second one. E. Well, if you build another one, that's the way I look at it. It's, hey, you don't have a Voron, so now you get to sit here and build another one. All right, so the motor will just push through that resistance like butter. All right. Havoc. Look at the, when I start looking for a new tool head, look at the BAM burner from Booth Builds. Mike, I think you bought stolen Vorons. Okay, so if we do it this way, they actually show a picture where you can kind of see the way it looks. So in the manual, it shows it looking like this. So we have our little tensioning arm there and our gear up on the top side. So we are all good there. Oh, the price was a steal. Yeah, I sat here and started looking at Vorons on Facebook Marketplace around here. And someone was selling one for like $700. I was like, that's actually not bad. It's already assembled, but I'm like, no, if I buy one already assembled, that's cheating. And then, then I already gonna have one, so I'll move on to the next project. I'm like, nope, we're gonna just build them. It's fun that way. Okay, so I was actually watching a video. I forget. Oh, I apologize. I'm terrible with names. Let me see something here. James, you want to switch over to me real quick? Oh no, actually me. Let me see here. I'm just looking to see who it was. I remember watching it. He hasn't posted videos in a while. Nope, and my history doesn't. Oh, let me go back and. Just trying to find out where it is, but he went over. It was why we started getting some of the zebra striping. And repo. And he had talked about how he had found out it was partially due to our extruder steppers. And he actually had worked with Bondtech to help correct some of this, and that's why this little gear is actually now press fit onto this, so it helps prevent some of that wobble. But YouTube won't let me go back far enough. Okay, we'll go back there and we'll switch back to the views. But yeah, so apparently he was doing some research into what caused some of that banding, which a lot of people thought was Z wobble, and it turns out it wasn't Z wobble. It was actually these gears being a bit off center, and that was allowing the filament to shift. And so he worked with Bondtech to get these press fit to help reduce or eliminate that wobble from the extruder. It was a nice little, it was a very interesting video. If I can find it again, I'll post it in my Discord. Okay, so with these, it's saying to press these in, try to give it some nice even pressure to insert them, but try not to press on the inner ring. So this one is going from the inside. We also want to make sure that these will fit onto our gear on both sides. Because if they won't fit, we do need to do some sanding, but this does fit, and it fits pretty well. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that this one goes this way. We can actually use that to partially that is really good on there. You all right, James? All right. Oh, Mike, there's no problem with Florida. We're just like Australia. Everything wants to kill you. I mean, it's here, grows some hair in your chest. Okay. Something. That's nice. Ah. I see what's rubbing. When I put that heat set in, it deformed a little bit. So let's take our file here. We're just going to kind of get some of that plastic there and remove it. Do I have a... Yeah, as I was putting in that heat set, see if you guys can see, right in there, the plastic just kind of pushed out a bit, and so as the gear's turning, it's hitting up against that. So I'm just going to take my knife here real quick. Left the hobby knife at home. I didn't think I would need it, and we're just going to kind of cut away at that to get rid of those big little pieces. And then take our file. Just kind of file it down nice and smooth, so we don't have too many rough spots. And there we go. That's spinning nice and smooth now. Printed plain. let's see here. To be clear, you have no problem with Florida. It's not as bad as people think it is. Everybody here has air conditioning, so you don't really have to worry about it that much. And typically, if you are going to go outside, you're typically going somewhere where there's water, so like that particular problem doesn't tend to crop up.
Unless you have to work outside.
Unless you work construction or something like that, then yeah, then you might run into it. Okay, so now that we've got that one in, we have to get our bearing in on the other side, and this is going to be the fun one. Because I have to try and get my very fat fingers into this tiny little hole. But we might be able to use the gear itself to our advantage. And there we go. So if you do need to get that in there, you can actually use the fact that the Bondtech gear is almost exactly what you need, and it can help you get that bearing press fit onto the other side. As long as your friction fit isn't too tight on the other. Now what I'm going to do, just to make sure it's nice and flush, is push down on there. All right, we are good there. I think everyone's allergic to the sun, RJ. You know, that's why we turn into lobsters if we stay out too long. Have fun with that, David. Yeah. For those of you that haven't, I've been mentioning it for a bit, but yeah, I did finally set up a basic Discord for us. The link is in the description. So, if you'd like to come and hang out with us, with me and other people, or share some photos that you have, be more than happy, It's going to kind of be, the Discord's going to be kind of set up by a trial by fire. When we find a problem, we'll fix it. Ugh. Okay. Now, I get to work with the thing that I hate, because we have to use some Loctite now. Now, I will say, I hate this liquid Loctite. I did order the Loctite stick, but Amazon and shipping have not been the greatest this holiday season. So we don't use Loctite here? Do they need to update the manual, Thunder? Oh no, not the grub screw. Thunder, so I'll show you. It's for the flathead screw that goes in here. That's where they want the Loctite on now. Yeah, the gear itself doesn't actually have a grub screw anymore. That was the video I was trying to talk about earlier. Yeah, that stupid screw. But I get to deal with my least favorite thing, because Thunder, I might want to print TPU one day, so for completeness sake, I'm gonna do it. But I hate this stuff because that would be smart, James.
I'm still
Okay. Well, Howie James sat here and admitted he stole the idea from you, but I didn't do it that way, Howie, because I'm not smart, and that sounds like it'd be a lot better. But that's also why I ordered the Loctite stick, so that way I could sit here and not have to worry about this. Do we finally? Nope, not that one. Where is my tiny one? That one is too small. That one's too big. There we go. That one's just right. So I'm just getting this in here, trying to make sure I don't touch the Loctite to any of the plastic, because apparently ABS and Loctite don't like each other. Okay.
So what I'm seeing, RJ, is that I definitely need to make a "that's what she said" counter.
RJ, you're giving James more work. I'm all for this. He may be the boss, but he also has to do all the boss. Okay. Now we have our gear in here. We're gonna mate the two surfaces together. We want to make sure that we can still move our little gear. Well, RJ, you don't want to use red Loctite on a Voron anyway, because not unless you are 100% confident, you are never changing that printer. No. So, for those that don't know, both red and blue Loctite come in the same red tube in the liquid. The only way you'll tell the difference is the blue one says blue. So, and the red one says red. Novel concept, I know. We'll put our screw back in here. So now we need some M3 by 25s. But yeah, Howie, the squirting of the Loctite onto a piece of cardboard or something and then dipping the screw into it, sounds like it'd be a lot less mess than the way I've been doing it. Okay.
Like I said, you don't watch this guy for his brains.
Hey, I have some intelligent things to say. And then I have some stupid things to do. Mike, I would love to see you build a Voron with CA glue. I think that would be hilarious. See here, building clipper from scratch for the 6th time for this beta. Remind you to stuff bamboo under your fingernails. Is it that bad down under? Okay. both of those have gotten pretty tight, so it should be good there. Let's just double check and make sure. Yep, I did go in the right holes. You know you're making that counter.
The issue is, if I do make that counter, it's never going to be right, because I'm always going to miss something.
The audience will let you know. Oh, you use nature's loctite. I still want to see you build a printer with CA glue. Okay, so we're going to look here. Now, for an initial alignment, see if you guys can see in there, you can kind of see the little filament gears in there, and right above and below it, you can see the filament path. And all they want you to do is just give a little, use your eyes to check and see if that little filament path is lining up with those gears. And in my case, it is. That is still running very smooth, so we're good there. But once you do that, you grab yourself some filament and test it out. This is some filament I've had for a bit. One of the first filaments I bought from Micro Center, some Inland PLA. Was planning on building some multi-board on it, with it on my Ender 3, and that led me into an entire project of completely rebuilding an Ender 3. And then made me decide, you know what, I'm building a Voron. So with that though, you look, that lines right up with our filament path. How you just buy CNC extruders? You built 2 and that was too many? You know, they're intricate, but they're... RJ, you know you like the belly cam. They're intricate, but it's also kind of fun learning the different mechanisms that people use. One of the things I was thinking about doing was I hate that I'm terrible with names. Oh, good Lord. It's going to come to me later. But it is a belt extruder. That it's the light version of a belt extruder, begins with a P. No, the actual extruder down under maker. It's a direct drive extruder. That one, Thunder Keys. Yeah, actually, if I went Dragon Burner or something like that, I was thinking about doing that as an extruder on the other one, just because I liked the way it looked and it seemed interesting. There is no other reason besides that. So, and that's how some of my decisions go. It's not because, hey, you know, this is needed for rigidity or this is needed for, you know, lighting or something like that. Sometimes you just have to go with, I want to build this just because I like the way it looks. There is no, I'm not going to get any extra benefit out of it, but it's going to make me happy. Ton of E3 in Florida. Yeah, there are a lot of Ender 3s in Florida. I said you could sit here and get them anywhere. Like there's some people that are like, hey, cool, I've got this old Ender and I want to sell it for $50. And there's other people that are like, hey, I've got this Ender 3 V2 that, you know, it's all set up. Give me $150 for it, when you can go to like Micro Center and buy a brand new one in box for $100. But yeah, the Papilio, I was sitting here, we were in Cybertext chat, and Havoc and I had seen that extruder, and ever since then I've been like, I want to put that on a printer. Okay, so let's see. Now that we've made sure that the filament path is correct, and that our Bondtech gear still rotates smoothly, we're going to take our little tension arm and get that in place. Now let's see here. This is going to go. So if you're looking here, you have a cutout on this side. Your tension arm is going to go on the opposite side of the cutout. And let's see. Okay, so it's, if you look, you have heat set hole there, another hole, and another hole. It is going to line up with that third hole. Try loosening the screws a bit on this, Thunder Keys. I was thinking it was a bit tight. So I'll take it that should just kind of slide in and out of there. You know, and this is one of the things I love about the 3D printing community here. You know, everyone is so supportive. It's not, you're doing it wrong. It's, hey, this is some helpful advice, but keep going the way you want to. Beats the Linux community where, no, you're doing it wrong. This is the only way that this should be done. All right, yeah, that kind of just slides pretty smoothly now. Upper left. Okay, so that one right there is the one. That is pretty loose now, and yeah, that just kind of pivots. I can feel it rubbing against the plastic, rubbing against each other, but if I go any time, but it's no longer really even gripping up there, so. Loosen this a bit more. Yeah, that feels a lot better just by loosening those up a bit. Okay, so we need an M3 by 25 here. And that is going to get screwed in through there. So does anybody have any plans for New Year's? And how were your holidays? Whether you celebrated Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Festivus, for those of you that know. Anybody get anything good? Anybody have any special plans for New Year's? All right. That one also I can loosen up because when I tighten that one down, it made this a little bit hard to go, but I do want to make sure it's in that heap set and flush, or a bit flush there. And that can move in and out. So should be pretty good there. Who doesn't like a junior mint? Did someone say they don't like junior mints? Okay, apparently James doesn't like junior mints. James doesn't like junior mints because chocolate. He's a white chocolate person. Okay, so apparently now we get to take this piece, which we haven't shown yet, and that's going to be our little latch for our tensioning arm. That just kind of goes in there and should just clip on. First, we need another M3 by 25 to go through this thing. Junior mints, peppermint patties, after dinner mints. Pretty good. Ah, so Mike, you got for the holidays, you got an enclosure kit for your box turtle? That's pretty cool. Are you going to get some of those poly dryers to make it a somewhat, don't necessarily call it a dry box, but a humidity maintainer, I guess, for a lack of a better term? You got one for it? It's a maintenance box? Yeah, once you get those poly dryers on there, from what I've read and seen, it's pretty good at maintaining the humidity. Okay, so that clips in pretty nicely. And that snaps in, so looks like we're pretty good there. So what it's going to want us to do now, it looks like, now they were telling us to, they show a filament coming through here, and I'm wondering if I should just go ahead and run the filament through just to make sure that we are actually gripping. But I also think they do that in a later step. Yeah. All right, so I need my motor box. Where did my motor box end up? That would be my motor box. We've got our little pancake stepper motor. And let me see here. So the way it's showing this is it's going with the cutout there. One arm should be up top. The other dime should be lower. Let's see here, Mike. You're cheating using an LDO injection. Hey, it's not cheating. It's taking advantage of tools that you have available to you. So we need some M3x30s. Yeah. If it makes your life easier, it's not cheating. I mean, a lot of people said I was cheating with James behind the camera.
Well, you are.
Yeah. And I agree with Thunder Keys there. If you can get them an injection molded one cheaper, you know, you're not going to have to worry about things like over extrusion and all that as much. Then there is no cheating there. Okay. So the one M3x30 goes in the top one. Now we need some smaller screws. We need an M3x8. Yeah. I mean, Mike, why do you think the Sovol, which is pretty much a mass-produced version of this, is so cheap? Because they could sit here and use injection molding to save time and money to print these parts out. Okay, so you just put with this, the LDO kit has black washers for what they say for visible washers, but these are the black ones were the only M3 ones I found. So yeah, this is M3x8. That I did not like the way that screw was going in there, though. That did not feel right. They probably are black nickel coated, same as the screws. Yeah, I'd agree with you on there, Thunder Keys. They specifically called out using these washers on the gantry for the visible areas, but since they don't have precision shims in the M3s in the kit, I'm assuming that these are the washers they want me to use. And so right now I'm having fun trying to get this lined up here. Just ever so slightly off. There we go. It's just rubbing up against the plastic a little bit. But once you get it started, it goes in nice. Now this one we have to keep loose because we want to be able to move this around. We can get those gears to lock in. Now this Bondtech gear is not quite moving. Let me see what happens. Okay, I think our little arm is, our little tension arm might be a bit tight. As soon as I try to lock down that tensioning arm, I lose all wiggle in the Bondtech gear. Just trying to figure out. Okay, so yeah, if I have it there, there's a little bit of a pathway that you could slide. And I'm just trying to feel for when I feel it. I can feel it engaging with the stepper motor when it's right there. So we'll get that tightened to hold the stepper motor in place. So yeah, with that, I can feel it engaging the stepper. But now I've got to figure out what I need to do. With this piece. Okay, that feels like it might be a bit better. Kind of wish there was a way to see. Let's see here. The Mellow Fly DP5 control board. I bought one on AliExpress. It should have. All right, so I'm not sure what this is because I haven't used the Mellow Fly. But if anyone has experience with the Mellow Fly DP5 control board, you know, we have quite a few knowledgeable people in here. I'm just okay, so that is now spinning. I do wish that there was a nice little way to check and see if that Bondtech gear that we did the friction fit on is moving. But I guess what I could do is try to feed some filament on it. Let's see here. Well, that's definitely feeding through, so I know at least it's not binding in that filament path. But I guess we won't really be able to test that out until we get it on the printer. Do this. So then our next thing to do is we're going to take our little IGUS cable arm. And that is going to screw through and just hold on right behind that stepper motor with an M3 by 20. Okay. All right, so I'm just trying to make sure that if we look here, this little arm does kind of follow the contours of the clockwork. So you can kind of use your finger to feel and get that, so that way you can get a little bit tight on that. Let's see, for what you see, driver retention is and should print better clips. Mike, is that it directed at me or someone in chat? Ah, for the DP5. Okay. So that's going towards John Doe. By the way, John Doe, I don't think I said hi. Hello. How you doing? Hey Raj, how you doing? Coming in here right at the end. I think we're going to be finishing up here soon because unfortunately, James and I do have to work tomorrow. And they sit here but that's just because they're sitting here and saying, hey, you have to work tomorrow. That way you can have New Year's Eve and New Year's Day off. So, you know, I'm willing to sit here and work on a day that I'm usually off to be able to recover from New Year's. It's 2 a.m. in the UK. Oh, good Lord, Raj. What do you do? You're still up at 2 a.m. I know that feeling. Okay, so apparently I'm guessing based on what I'm seeing, this should go all the way through to the M3 by 16. So there's a little hole right here. Standing up. A little hole right here. You put the M3 by 16 there and it screws all the way through, and it looks like we're going to screw it all the way through the plastic on the other side. That way it doesn't interfere with the cable arm, and the cable arm will actually kind of hold it in place, or the locking lever. Let's see here. Down Under, you're off till February. I'm jealous. Now, are you getting paid for all that off time? That's the other big question. Yeah. Oh, James makes a good point. You're in Australia. They actually care about their workers there. So yeah, you're probably definitely getting paid. John, you're off until the 6th. I'm jealous. Mike, you're off until the 5th. Yeah, unfortunately, we work in a service industry, and we sit here and do things like install TVs and stuff like that. So, of course, what's a big here in the US? We just had Christmas, so what does everyone want? Oh, we just got our new TVs and computers. We want someone to install them for us. So we don't get time off for that. Okay, now I've got that going all the way through. And we need to get the cover, which I think is actually in a different pack for me. This one is a black. It's all my clicky probe stuff. The cover is not in there. There it is. Raj, I'm jealous. I would love to just be able to sit at home and monitor emails. The only person that gets to do that is my boss. But he also works his butt off because whenever we have an issue, he's the one that gets the call. Okay, so with this one, let's see here. The way they're showing this is going to go on like so, and we just need to be very careful because apparently we're screwing into plastic, so we definitely don't want to over tighten. I'm just going to back this off so that way I have a little bit of a nub sticking out so I can get a good lineup. And then we're going to start tightening this down. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know what retirement is either, Mike. Let's see here. 2-year notice to retire. Mike, where were you located again? John Doe, 30 years of working for a state university doing IT. My brother-in-law was actually the IT for the College of Computing at a local university here. Major university. So I always said he's the IT for the IT people. And it was funny because he was telling me there's like times where, you know, he has to support these PhD professors that can tell you the inner workings on how a graphics processing unit works, and they can get into all these details about, you know, how it actually handles the mathematical computations, but for the life of them could not install a printer to save their life. All right, so I'm just cranking down on this until we get this nice and flush on this side. So we're good there. And then we need an M3x6 button head to go from the outside here. Yeah, Howie, I'm not sure if retirement's going to be a thing by the time I get to the age where it can be done, because I'm not even sure if Social Security and all that will be a thing by that time. And of course, yeah, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, because that's a slippery slope. Where did my drill bit go? Yeah, Howie, I wish I could get a pension. So many jobs did away with pensions because, oh, it's better for people. Well, no, it's better for the job. It makes the business owner more money. Yeah, taxes is definitely something you don't want to mess with. I think that is a universal no matter what country you live in. Well, this thing's being a right pain in the butt. All I want to do is put this screw in here. Let's go from the back side and see if we can clear out that hole. Yeah, it's John. Something I've noticed is like the market for 3D printing stores. Yeah, you want to have a nice local market, but a lot of it seems to be online. Like, if you have a decent online presence, you can make it work, but the keyword that, but you really got to put the effort in, you know, make sure your shipping's on point. Make sure you have good customer service reps, you know, but having a local place where those local people can come in and say hi and check out things can be a nice little extra stream, extra source of income on it. Okay. So that came through on that side. So now let's see if I can get it to go back through on the other side. That can make a huge difference, is finding out a way to get cheap international shipping. Because yeah, if you can sit here and solve the US international shipping issue to like the Australia, the UK, Germany, you know, you'll kind of corner the market. The maker spaces are also nice. They have a few here in Florida, but not as many as I'd like. And like some of them, it's like, hey, cool, join our local maker space. It's $700 a year. Well, it's like, you know, if I'm going to spend $700 to join your maker space, I'm probably just going to build the printer myself.
I mean, to be fair, there are some libraries that have basically maker spaces that are pretty much free, except for the filament part of it.
Now, I don't know about Australia or the UK, but there are some libraries in the US that do have a maker space. Where, you know, you can provide the filament and everything. They'll sit here and let you use it. But then again, they also want to sit here and you to be responsible. So, you know, if you do break the machine, you know, it is a public thing, but they're going to then teach you how to clean a machine, because that's what libraries do. They educate. But then having a librarian or someone there that volunteers their time to make that a possibility, that's where you run into some other problems. I know my local library just had a little maker event where someone came out and volunteered to show people how a lot of this stuff was done. But again, it was his own personal 3D printers, and it was a limited library on what people could print. So it wasn't just like, hey, you know, I need this little thing printed. Can I print it out? It was like, no, I'm just using this as a demo to try and get people into it, which was a cool little thing. But it wasn't really like that maker space. All right. Now, with that is actually a Clockwork 2 extruder. So I was hoping to get the entire tool head built today, but I'm noticing these things take longer than I think they're going to take. So we'll probably have to work on getting the heater and the hot end part of the stealth burner done next week. So I do have a question for everyone in the audience, especially those that have built a Voron before. The PTFE tube that goes from the Clockwork 2 into the hot end side, you know, LDO does supply it, but I happen to have some of the blue Capricorn PTFE tube sitting at home. I was wondering if that would be a better one than the standard white one to use on this. I'd actually like to hear people's opinions if they have any on that. Just for that short little tube that goes between the two. Let's see here. So, don't know if I'm going to go Vivid or Box Turtle yet. You know, one of the eventual goals for this, so John, I'm not sure whether it's real or fake. It is the Creality version of it. So you know, Creality being a Chinese company, it could be the fake one, but I also bought it from Micro Center, so. I have to take Creality with, you know, Creality is a pretty, you know, pretty big company at this point. John, I will have to look to see if it came with a sticker. Let's see here. The tight fit makes swapping filament a bit tougher. So yeah, the eventually something I'd like to do with the printer is to sit here and, when I say go do something absolutely crazy, this goes back to the, hey, I want to do this not because I should or because I have a benefit, but just because I want to. I'd love to do like a stealth burner or an index on this, and then each of those tool heads has a armored turtle or something to it, except for one I'm going to reserve for like a high temperature PLA so I can use that for supports. But I'd love to do something like that, to have like, you know, a six tool head stealth burner with 5 of those tool heads having a 4-color box turtle on it, or a vivid on it, or something like that, and just because I think it'd be cool. No other reason. Yeah, so the big thing I saw, that's why I was thinking the stealth burner for that project instead of, or the stealth changer for that project instead of the index, because yeah, you know, you have to get into tip forming that way if you did that, because the index tool head does not have a filament cutter, if I'm correct. So that could be quite a bit of hassle. All right, so the tight fit, it sounds like, you know, hey, it's a better for if you're not doing filament swapping or anything like that. But if you plan on doing it, stick with the white. Stick with the standard white PTFE. Yeah, Havoc, that would be a lot of box turtles. It would be a very expensive project, but it'd be fun. You know, eventually, if I can get moved to the other studio, it'd be kind of cool to sit here and be like, hey, here's the printer on the wall, and then mounted on the wall above it is 5 box turtles that all feed into this one printer. It'd be a pretty nice, interesting aesthetic to see. All right, but let's see here. Yeah, so I'll bring out the tube next stream, because we're gonna need it for this anyway. Yeah, down under, I remember reading about that, the FEP sitting here also not being able to take as much heat and stuff like that. And FEP, I'm usually, for me, that's always the film that goes onto my resin printer. So, you know, the PTFE Teflon is the one that I've been reading, is that's the one you want to use. So, all right, well, you know, we got our nice clockwork extruder built. I am seeing rotation on it. The filament did go through when I could manually move the gear. It fed it through. So looks like we've got some good spacing here. We'll have to do some adjustments later on once we get the printer up and going, but this is kind of a nice little in-between stopping point. We got a nice little white page splitting the sections. So with that, you know, I'll probably be in Discord in a bit later on tonight as I'm driving from the studio back to where I live, if anybody wants to come in and hang out and voice chat or anything like that. But I will sit here and see you all next week, 7 p.m., same as usual.